Welcome to point 4 of the Blake Lively 30-point document series. You can find the whole playlist on my channel, and you can find it here. So it's the second section right here. It's under the Blake Lively 30-point document series. Right now, there's 3 videos, obviously, because this is point 4, but that's where you can find it. I will tell you, this is probably going to be the shortest of all the points because there's only one instance that she mentions, and we've read this several different times because she's used it for multiple different things. So this is what I say when she tends to use the same situation, splits it up into multiple allegations. But for this one, it's going to be short. So let's look at it. So point 4 says, no more mention to BL or her employees of personal times the physical consent was not given in sexual acts as either the abuser or the abused. Now, Blake Lively made sure to say, or the abused, and not just the abuser, because literally, Blake Lively took a moment of vulnerability where Justin Baldoni is sharing his story where he was abused, and somehow made that SH. So, this is the story. You've heard it many times. I'm actually not going to read it to you because I've read it to you on multiple points because that's how much she has repeated this as multiple points. So I'm not going to read it. I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to say, pause it and read it for yourself because I'm not going to read it one more time. So here we go. So it's right here. You can read this portion, right? You can pause here if you want to read this. If you've done my other points, you've heard this before. So this one is for the first amended complaint, and also the second amended complaint looks exactly the same way. You can again pause and read because I've read this before. Then pause and read here for paragraph 94. And folks, that's all she had. That's all she offered us in her whole thing. So there is literally nothing for her accusation aside from that one story where he's sharing his own story of abuse that it doesn't show up in their complaint at all. The only place it shows up is here in the timeline. It doesn't even show up in the available depositions. That's how scarce her backup is for that one. And the only reason she had a story is because he chose to share his own story of abuse. Not abusing someone, but being abused. Even though she took his insights of what he learned from it and tried to twist it. And also, this is a story he has shared throughout his podcast, his book. So is she saying that everybody's getting SH because they're hearing the same story she did in the vehicle? I don't understand the logic that she had when she tried to push this. But anyways, September 1, 2024, Nathan reveals to Baldoni that she finally watched the film in theaters. She shares a touching message with Baldoni. He also shares a personal story that inspired him to direct the movie and ultimately option the book. Ironically, it was this story that Lively chose to use against him later in her list of 17 points when she required that there be no discussions with Miss Lively of personal experiences with sex in her complaint. So they're saying that this has to do with point number 3, right? He's saying this is about point number 3, this story. But it is about point number 3, but it's also about point number 4, which is the one we're covering right now, which is no more mention to BL or her employees of personal times that physical consent was not given in sexual acts as either the abuser or the abused. So the fact that they're not even considering that as the point that they're covering in this timeline is wild to me because that just means that literally Blake Lively had nothing for this point. But let me go back to what Wayfarer said about that specific point. In her complaint, she intentionally misrepresents the story to suggest that Baldoni had engaged in sexual conduct without consent. In fact, it was the other way around. Baldoni was referencing an intimate relationship in which he was the one who did not give consent, not the other way around. And so I'm not going to reread this to you, one, because it was super pixelated, and also because I already read it in a different video. So you can pause to read. Probably going to be hard to pause and read this one, though, but you could look at it on docket 50-1 on the Lively versus Wayfarer case. I'm a little bit angry as I think about it because how did she find a way to twist his own story of abuse against him. That's the wildest thing to me. So the last thing we're going to look at is the Rule 56.1 statement, the ones that Wayfarer said and anything that Blake Lively said. So this one is paragraph 1 in 26. Lively also alleges that during the first phase of filming, while riding in a car with Lively, her assistant and her driver, Baldoni stated that he had not always obtained consent before sex. And her response is undisputed. And then it also says he recalls a conversation with Lively in which he told her about his own experience of having a romantic partner go beyond his personal boundaries of consent. And she also said that that's undisputed. So for paragraph 407, this is an undisputed fact that Blake Lively wants to bring in, that Baldoni has stated redacted. He has also publicly commented that there is a 1,000,000% probability that there is a woman or two that he has in some way made uncomfortable by saying something or doing something that was chauvinistic or sexist, and that he did not always ask for consent or always listen when they said no. So she's bringing in his TED Talk. And frankly, that's it. We're done. That's all. So I would typically say like this video if you found something valuable, but I don't know how you did. I guess the valuable thing you learned is that Blake Lively put in an allegation where her biggest proof of it is his own story of abuse. And that she has the power and the ability to take somebody's vulnerability and make it an SH claim. I guess bravo, Blake Lively, bravo. That's it. I'm a little bit disgusted, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, if you still happen to like this video, go ahead and like it and hit subscribe. If you're not subscribed to me, I'm gonna continue to go down the 30-point document. All right, thanks.